You don't have to, like, we're talking, when I look at it, the perspective of how do you get exposure to the whole thing? We've had exposure to every single tick of this move. I've owned my main AKT bag since June. So all of this move I've been fully exposed. I've held Bitcoin all the way through 2022 at the end into 23, all the way through 2023. And since the breakout, again, been fully long Bitcoin. So all of these moves, you're getting every single tick by just being long, by owning spot. That's why I say that it's so important. You're not going to outtrade the market with your entire portfolio. It's pointless because your coins will just go up because we're in an early bull. And every single tick of this, just don't sell. Don't go to cash. If you don't think the bull market's over, why are you selling your cycle bags? Then, trading wise, you're trying to increase your stack by getting an entry and getting out. Getting an entry when people get flushed out, getting out when they get too excited. And that's sort of why I want to just be really clear, because I'm not bearish on the market, even slightly. But pullbacks will absolutely come. And the exact same reason why I bought ETH down here, I bought a cash down here, and I bought Bitcoin down here, and I got long Bitcoin down there, and then I got long Bitcoin again here. The reason I did all that is because of this exact thing. When it gets shaken out, when everyone else is crying and bearish and footing it, you want to be getting long. Then, once it reaches a point where suddenly people are feeling safe, in air quotes, to get long, or they're talking bullish again, or they're all happy, that's not where I want to be adding longs. That makes sense? So get long when you don't feel like it. Take profit when everyone else wants to get long. That's how you trade on top of your spot bags. The reason you hold spot, though, is so that you don't even have to think about that. You can just go to a fucking monthly chart and just look at it and say, every single part of this up move I've been fully exposed through spot. If I then want to trade on top of that, that's where I'm looking at, okay, when are people getting too bearish? I want to get long. When are they getting a bit too bullish? I want to just not go short. I want to just take profit on those longs. Yeah. The other thing is now it's higher beta stuff that's leading. So if you remember all the way through this rally, it's been Solana that's led it from altcoin perspective. It's not Solana now. That's a subtle change to me that tells me that the market is shifting into something new. Typically that could be we had Solana, we had Injective, right? We had Link, and we had, what else was moving up well? Those are the main ones out of the pre-existing majors. So Link's obviously still doing quite well. But Solana and Injective, which were like the two real big winners in the October rally, they are now lagging. They're not making new highs. But Total 3 is making new highs. So part of that's Ethereum outperformance, not for Total 3, but for Solana weakness. If Ethereum's strong, Solana might suffer. So Total 2 is going up well too. But Sol ETH, as you can see, Sol ETH is now getting really flipping back towards Ethereum. I then look at it and say, well, what is driving this move up? And a lot of it's AI. So a lot of the AI coins have been going really well. You got Render moving up. You got Fetch moving up. You got obviously AKT's been doing really well. We'll talk about that in Trade of the Day. You've got BitTensor, which has been moving up a lot as well. So the market is moving and shifting very much towards that AI narrative, which is the only thing I've talked about for the last few months. I think that's the only sector you need to focus on outside of your majors. Anything else to me is just noise and a distraction. But on this lower time frame market that we're in, the fact Solana is no longer leading and the fact Injective is no longer leading, it tells me that the market might be moving down the risk curve. It might be chasing the higher beta stuff. And oftentimes that can be like a sign that we're moving later into the overall rally and that there might be some type of cool off or correction or sideways that's to come. I don't think that's near. I don't think that's here yet. Because when you just look at, like, again, back to Total 3 and stick to the weekly, it broke out of its August highs, right, in December. It consolidated above those highs for 5-6 weeks. And now it's starting to push to break out. it's not like it's done this. It's not like we're up here and it's been up only and parabolic and crazy. It's literally consolidated in the bands, just like this. It's consolidated against the bands. It's nowhere near done from a pure price action perspective. So I'm far from bearish, but I am looking at the rate of change of open interest and funding. And it would tell me that you're probably going to get a decent chance to buy a nice dip, right? Buy a nice strong correction at some point. And also, it doesn't mean that this is like destined to just go straight up, right? It's pushed above the highs. It could easily drop back. It might spend another few weeks. It might touch the bands again. It might spend another few weeks between 480 and 580 or 480 and 550, whatever, to just consolidate and compress and consolidate and chop people up. And then eventually it breaks higher. That's how I would look at it. Obviously, stable coins as well. So stablecoin markets, they're rising. So money keeps coming in. That's good if that continues. Bitcoin dominance is kind of just chopping at the highs and consolidating around here. A lot of people think this is already topped. I don't think so. I think actually, given that Ethereum has really went on a little push there last week or so, the fact that BTCD's barely moved and it's just holding up and it's holding the weekly bands and we're getting towards the halving, I think again people are going to abandon Bitcoin too soon and Bitcoin's going to make another run. I do think Bitcoin goes towards 60% before it's finished with its real dominance run this cycle. That doesn't have to happen right away, but I would say that leading into the halving would be a time where you'd expect, typically, for Bitcoin to steal the show. Everyone starts to talk about it. All the TradFi money, there's going to be a lot of demand coming in from there. So that's how I'm looking at it from here. So at some point, there's a dip coming. From a trading perspective, I'm just going to wait for that dip and wait until I see some blood. Wait until I see some of this OI getting wiped. Wait until I see the funding rates, tick back down a little bit. They don't have to go back to red or to purple or to green neutral, but they should cool off a little bit. Yeah. Some type of reset, some type of healthy dip. You can see what a healthy dip looks like, from over here on any of these moves up. Like even just some of these shakeouts over here, you just want to see like this. This is like the perfect one where they'd initially been rallying up and rising and rising and rising. Then you have a short, sharp, swift correction. And then it goes right back to accumulation and altcoins and obviously the whole market kept rising. This move up now is even more steep in terms of the rate of change of the open interest for alts. So I just look at this and think, there's no way that this doesn't have some kind of leverage flush at some point. And without trying to time it, which there's no point timing it, you can just wait. When I see 10s, 20, 30%, corrections across altcoins, which probably means maybe Bitcoin has a 10% correction. And if we're starting to see some alts dipping back into wherever it is, their daily bands, and you're looking at the leaders like the renders, you go on the daily, right? Render can go all the way back on a wick into its daily bands down here. And it's always at that point where you think it's not gonna, like, breakout's so strong on render, it's not gonna stop, it's not gonna pull back. Yeah, that's always how it feels. But look at how how deep the wicks can go. Like here we go on this move up on render. Look at that deep wick. This is on a single day. That's a 23% move down from the top to the bottom on a single day. Here, that's a 17% in a single day. And was render at any point bearish? No. This is a super solid uptrend. Hits the bands, reverses, dips through the bands, reverses, fills in some inefficiency, and away it goes. So that can and obviously will at some point happen. It doesn't have to happen from here. Maybe render goes higher first. But as I look at render, I think it's going to run for its all-time high at some point. But that is still quite a bit away. Right? That's all the way up here. And in between now and then, you can have at least one more decent dip or shakeout. And if render was just to dip down into the daily bands from here, like from this most recent local high, that's a 15 to 20% flush. That would take out all high leverage. That would give you a good opportunity to get in when the market's still bullish, when the bands are still green, it's all still completely fine, And so I wouldn't be surprised to see that happening something like that at some point, where it gives a push then towards all-time highs. So that's it. That's the market, GM. See you all later on the live stream.